What's up, everybody, and welcome to the PrimeJ0sh podcast. I really don't have a name for it yet. I just kind of came up with that on the fly, but we're gonna be talking about NBA free agency. Honestly, I don't know if this is gonna be like a new thing. Like, I'm actually just gonna do like a podcast after every big like week in sports, but I decided to do one today because I got a lot to talk about, a lot of thoughts I would like you guys to hear, but anyway, I'm not going to do much of an intro. We're just going to jump right in. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is the biggest thing from over the weekend was Kawhi Leonard going to the Los Angeles Clippers, signing with the Los Angeles Clippers, spurning the Lakers, and then also on top of that, he brought Paul George with him, got him to request a trade from OKC and go to the Clippers. And it was pretty crazy. Like, they just became like the instant odds-on favorite in the Western Conference, or really to win the NBA championship. They became the odds-on favorite just after that, and it broke at about 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Woj just dropped a bomb on Twitter, and he's like, Kawhi Leonard is signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. And the first thought that came to my head was, I'm going to laugh so hard at all these reporters that claimed they had sources saying they knew where Kawhi was going. They said that it was a done deal. He was going to the Lakers. That's what I instantly did. I started laughing about that. And then 2 minutes later, like, it's just so much to take in. All of a sudden, Woj drops another bomb. Paul George is being traded to the Los Angeles Clippers for like 6 first-round picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, it was crazy. But this kind of what I wanted to start off with was how Kawhi Leonard fooled every credible reporter. Some credible, some not so credible that we wanted to see just totally mess up Ari Abraham. Nah, but I mean, this guy, Ari Abraham. Let me just take a second to pull up some of the tweets that Ari Abraham tweeted out. Because if you don't know who Ari Abraham, if you're listening to this, I assume you know who he is. But if you don't, he's somebody who's blocked me on multiple accounts who said, because I called him out on his fake reporting, but he's a USC graduate who stalked NBA players that would come to a popular hotel in the Southern California area and would stalk them at restaurants. Quite literally, he would stalk them and ask the hotel doorman like things that they would say whenever they would come in. And that's what he said. He admitted his source was literally a hotel doorman. Now, that being said, let me just, like I said, I'll read you some of the tweets that he tweeted out. Just because people actually believe this kid. Now, most of it was just Lakers fans flocking to his Twitter, looking to like read stuff that they wanted to hear. But let me just read some of the stuff he said. So, first he said, well, I mean, and these aren't in chronological order. I'm just like pulling up some of the funny tweets that I had cropped out for a video. But Kendrick Perkins had tweeted, "Just heard that Kawhi is meeting with the Clippers tonight, but the Lakers hold the upper hand. Unless Doc works his magic tonight, it's looking very strong that Kawhi will be in the purple and gold." And then Ari Abraham goes out, quotes the tweet Kendrick Perkins said, who I trust more than anyone. Kendrick Perkins, he's someone that's in the know. He quoted his tweet and said, "Kawhi Leonard has ruled the Clippers out, sources say." Okay. Next tweet. Somebody says, "Two retards with no sources teaming up on this." And it was somebody who he like called Ari Abraham out on this fake reporting, and because he had quoted another tweet saying, "Can confirm that Kawhi has ruled the Clippers out." And somebody said, "Two retards with no sources teaming up on this report. How nice." And Ari Abraham quotes the tweet saying, "Okay, I want you to stand by this when at Woj ESPN tweets this shortly. Stand by it. Don't move off your foolish stance." And of course, he never tweeted it. Woj never tweeted it. And I was like, okay, so we're waiting. And like I said something else, and that's when he blocked me. Then he says that he agrees with Stephen A. Smith saying that Kawhi should end up a Laker. He quotes a tweet saying, "I have heard everything Stephen A. Smith has heard." Once again, he's wrong. Source: the Los Angeles Lakers continue to be very confident that free agent Kawhi Leonard will join LAL. There's a lot of smoke out there, none of which we believe. I guarantee he made up that quote. I guarantee. Next tweet, he says, as mentioned weeks ago, the Lakers always believed they were front runners to land Kawhi Leonard. The sentiment from around the league that the Clippers were favorites was a non-event. Okay. Next tweet, he says, I'm told the Clippers are now in panic mode, sources say. Ironically, R.A. Abraham was now the one in panic mode. I can't think of a bigger clown, a bigger loser from the NBA free agency weekend, because after this, he waited about 24 hours after Kawhi Leonard made his decision. He tweeted, because I know he was taking all day to think of something to say that would justify his false reporting. And so he says something along the lines of Kawhi, there was a material change in that the Lakers were the favorite. But here's where he went wrong. It was obviously not true. Kawhi Leonard facilitated that trade with the Clippers. He worked with them, said, "You get Paul George, I will come." And he recruited Paul George. Dude, you gotta request a trade to LAC. Like, that's where I want to go. I know you want to come home. I want to come home. I don't want to play with LeBron's super team. Let's go to the Clippers. And so that's what they did. And then R.A. Abraham is out here saying that he says that let me go to his Twitter again. He says that it was a material change and that nobody saw it coming. Yet he tweeted out that a decision had been made. He said, in due time, Kawhi Leonard will have a decision as early as tonight. And Kawhi didn't decide for another 5 days. And then he said that Kawhi had made a decision. So you're telling, because he said the info was good. He says, I was wrong and I'm sorry for those who are disappointed. The info was good, but things clearly changed. I'll do better on the next one. He said the info was good, though. He still wouldn't admit he was wrong, even though he said Kawhi had made a decision. So you're telling me Kawhi decided he wanted to go to the Lakers, just decided to wait a couple more days to announce it, and then just all of a sudden decided to go to the Clippers instead? I don't think so. I think you were dead wrong, buddy. And then he started quoting narcissist tweets with a video of LeBron James saying, "Oh, screw the haters," something, just totally handling it unprofessionally. And then he says, he pinned a tweet mocking Woj, and then just started getting ratioed by everybody on Twitter, including some big names like Scott Van Pelt and Barstool Big Cat. I mean, the dude was just getting called out, and he lost a total of 10,000 followers, and it's still dropping by the hour, but it was funny to see this dude go down, because I get you want to be an NBA insider, but He's a young guy who's a USC alumni, just graduated, and he's pretending to know stuff he doesn't. He doesn't have sources. He says he was told things. He says he has sources. He doesn't have sources. He got lucky one time because he met Dwight Howard at a hotel, and he told him where he was going in his free agency. But that's it. That's all he's ever gotten right. He just throws stuff at the wall that is like obvious speculation. Hope something sticks and is right maybe 30% of the time, if even. I don't know. The dude, he can't. And see, like, Chris Broussard is another one who said Kawhi to the Lakers is 99% done. We know Chris Broussard doesn't have sources, but what I will say is I respect Chris Broussard for coming out with a video saying he was honest. He owns up to it. He was wrong. He didn't know. His sources got it wrong, that he wasn't going to call him out. He owned up to being wrong. On the other hand, Ari Abraham handled it like a little kid, like the little kid that he is. So that's pretty much it. But it was just funny because, like, Kawhi Leonard just proved that you can't listen to anybody during free agency unless it's Woj or Shams that's reporting it. You just can't. Nobody truly knows, especially with a guy like Kawhi, who's pretty quiet when it comes to things like this. It was funny to see, though. He just totally exposed national media during this free agency saga, and it was pretty funny. And this Ari Abraham kid, any credibility he had is just down the drain. Mostly his followers were just Lakers fans looking for stuff they wanted to hear, but even they've lost their trust. I mean, the dude, he's got no credibility at all. So that's pretty much it with that topic. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was the rookie extensions we've been seeing, and really just not even just the rookie extensions. I'm gonna highlight that, but also just the money being spent in the free agency. I don't want to see mediocre because they were all good players on free agency this year. I respect all those NBA players, but listen, the money that's being thrown around is crazy now. It's not as crazy as it used to be. Like, average players used to get like $6 to $10 million range dollar contracts, but now the norm is more 10 to 15 million for those average guys, and the reason is because the cap keeps rising every year, so it's not that unusual. But also, like, with these rookie extensions, Jamal Murray got 170 million, Ben Simmons got 190 million, something like that. And these guys, they're still babies in the NBA. Like, they haven't proven anything, and they're getting paid max dollars. Like, I just think it's kind of crazy because, like, yes, the cap is rising, and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but also the cap isn't rising every year at a rate to which they're going to be able to have flexibility in the future. I mean, Jamal Murray, like, Ben Simmons is a really, really talented player, doesn't have a jump shot, hasn't proven anything in the NBA, and he's getting paid like LeBron James. I mean, I just think it's really, these rookie extensions are getting ridiculous, and it's really changed the NBA, how GMs and teams and front offices approach, how they want to contend, when they want to contend, because, like, now the window used to be, you develop your young guys, you give them a decent extension after they develop for a few years, then you sign a few free agents. Usually your window was, 5 to 10 years. Now your window is more like 2 to 4 years with these contracts, rookies wanting to get paid, stars always getting disgruntled. That's the new window. Like, mostly you just got to, like, hope you hit in the draft, get a couple really good young players, and then you got to sign some max guys while they're still on their rookie deal and just kind of hope you win a championship in those 2 to 4 years, because most of the time, like, you've seen it with the Raptors. They thought they had it good with DeRozan and Lowry and the young talent they had, and then all of a sudden they were like, we're never going to win a championship with this team, so they rolled the dice, traded for Kawhi Leonard, won a championship. It worked out for them, but now they're kind of having to restart now. And then, like, you see the Philadelphia 76ers, they had Embiid and Simmons on their rookie deals, wanting to get Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, planned probably to give them both maxes, but instead just brought back Tobias on a max deal and then signed Al Horford, which were both good moves. In my opinion, letting Jimmy Butler go was a good move, but now all of a sudden, if the Sixers don't win a championship in this 2 to 4 year window, they're kind of done too. And then you see the Thunder, who we thought were going to contend for ages. It seems like they're going to start to deteriorate. They've already traded away Paul George, and they got a haul of picks for him. Looks like they're going to trade Westbrook pretty soon. But that's just something I wanted to touch on about how, like, it seems players are just, like, it's such a ship-jumping league. Like, it seems like everyone has settled in their new team now, but you never know what's going to happen. Like, honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Kyrie Irving requested a trade halfway through the season. I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow, somebody like Joel Embiid wanted out of Philadelphia all of a sudden. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, that kind of stuff is just the norm in the NBA now. It never seems like there's any stability in any organization, and the whole loyalty between players and teams now, it seems like none of it exists anywhere. They're all kind of wary of each other, and yeah, that's just something I wanted to talk about. But I mean, there's not much else I wanted to say about it, but I just kind of think that, like, teams need to be careful how much money they're spending on their core guys, because the window to contend now in the NBA isn't very long, and if you leave yourself no money to spend, you're kind of screwed. Now, I wanted to talk about concern over teams just throwing away first-round draft picks. And what I mean by that is, like, when the Anthony Davis trade happened, I thought the Pelicans got an absolute haul, and they did. They really did. They got very good young talented guys in Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart. And then they got, I think it was 5 first-round picks, couple of pick swap rights. But, like, that's some Brooklyn Nets trade type of compensation. See, now everyone's saying, oh, those picks won't be worth anything. We didn't think those Brooklyn Nets picks were going to be worth anything, did we? I mean, that team is an Anthony Davis or LeBron James major injury away from being a lottery team again, and all the, like, if before you know it, the Pelicans could, be striking gold with that deal, because I mean, those, you don't, like I said, the new window in the NBA isn't very long, and they got 5 first-rounders, which means they got 5 years in which they can hope something bad happens to the Lakers and to where they get a more valuable pick. So I'm just saying, like, it's got to be, like, you got to be careful, like, throwing around these first-round picks. And the Lakers weren't already very deep, and then they're going to have to pay Kuzma in a few years. I think next year he's due up for an extension if they want to keep him. If they want to keep him, they're going to have to probably pay him close to max dollars, and, they're already struggling to pay their bench guys, and then they have no picks to supplement their bench. Like, they have nothing. So, I mean, that's why it's really important that they, win a championship with what they have. And I thought the Lakers got a haul for AD. Like, I thought that was one of the most lopsided trades for a star. And, I mean, the Lakers, they weren't bidding against anybody, so, I mean, that was crazy. But then the Paul George trade happened, and the Clippers got 6 first-rounders and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a tremendous young player. So, I mean, it seems like, and I haven't actually looked it up, but I was thinking, it's got to be more than half the teams in the league own more first-round picks from other teams than they do their own first-rounders. It's got to be a fair amount, because, I mean, they're just getting thrown around like crazy. But, like, the Clippers, like, same thing goes for them. If Paul George's rod in his leg breaks all of a sudden next year, the Clippers are sitting really well with those first round picks. Because, like, look, Kawhi Leonard's a good player. He proved he can carry a pretty good team, but also, like, he's not too healthy himself with that whole leg injury he had and the load management last season. Like, you don't know what could happen. So, I mean, the next 6 years, like, a lot could happen, and the Clippers got, they gave away their first-round pick for the next 6 years to the OKC Thunder, but also they had to do it. Same thing with the Lakers and AD trade. Like, they had to do it. Like, if they wanted to get, the person they were traded for, they had to give up that much, because, I mean, Kawhi and Paul George facilitated that whole thing, and so, I mean, the Clippers are like, hey, you're taking our star, you got to pay up. So, and the Clippers had to do it because they only had a certain amount of time, because Kawhi is probably like, if you don't get Paul George, then I ain't coming, and they had to get Paul George. But, like, the amount of pick compensation that is being involved in trades now, it's making the Brooklyn Nets trade and Boston Celtics trade look, like they got robbed. Like, the Celtics got robbed, when in reality the Celtics just totally destroyed the Nets in that deal. But that's, something else I wanted to touch on. Next, I'm gonna take a quick break, but next we're gonna talk about tampering in the NBA and how it's not really enforced anymore. So next, I'm gonna talk about tampering, and a lot of teams and fans have been complaining about tampering in recent years and really recent months, like with the whole Magic Johnson thing and the Lakers organization getting fined for comments they made about I forget who it was, and then also Doc Rivers got fined for calling Kawhi, comparing Kawhi to Michael Jordan on live TV, and then now you see Kawhi Leonard recruiting somebody who's under contract for another team to the Clippers, and it's just like, you wouldn't blame the Clippers for being like, hey, this is bull. I mean, he's recruiting one of our players that's, like, under contract, and, like, he would still be here if it wasn't for him talking to him. But that's the thing, is, like, the league can only do so much. Like, yes, they can enforce tampering, but also, like, the players, you can't stop them from being friends and talking to each other and being like, yo, you want to come play here? But, and then there's also situations where, like, the whole free agency thing, like, Kawhi Leonard was the only big free agent this year that, actually took meetings, took time making his decision, whereas, before, it was, even just a few years ago, most big stars took a long time to make their decision. They usually waited till the 4th of July or even later, and what they did was they would take a couple meetings with the teams that they said they were interested in, and then, they would make their decision from there. But now it's as soon as free agency starts, it's all these deals start coming out. Woj just starts tweeting, this person's going here, this person going there, Katie going to the Nets, Kyrie going to the Nets, Kemba Walker going to the Celtics. All these deals, they are made in advance. Like, these teams and these agents, they make these deals before free agency even starts. And then when free agency starts, that's when they're technically allowed to start talking. It's done. It's done within seconds because they have been talking, they have been tampering. But the NBA, they haven't come out and said anything, but I expect them to whenever they have the whole league meetings about coming up with new rules and stuff like that. I think there's going to be some changes to the tampering rules because I think they're starting to realize that, it's the players' league, but at the same time, I mean, it's hard for them. Like, it's a players' league, but they also don't want it to where, guys are just jumping ship so much, but I don't think they'll be able to stop that. So I think they'll lift up restrictions on some things that they can penalize. But then, you can't have Doc Rivers coming on TV and comparing Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan. But which also I think was a little BS because he was just complimenting him, and he was asked to come onto the show and was just saying what he thought. He didn't expect to get fined from it. But I just think it's so complicated how some teams will get fined for something, and then Kawhi can recruit Paul George under contract to come play for the Clippers, and it's like nothing happens. And all these players, they know where they're gonna go months in advance. It's crazy. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about that. I don't really know where my stance is on it. I think the NBA is fine the way it is. No matter what tampering stuff you have put in there to stop it, it's not going to be stopped. There's always going to be there's always going to be players talking with each other. They're going to go where they want to go at the end of the day. So I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Next, I wanted to start to wrap up with just kind of saying my thoughts about the moves each team made in free agency. I'm not going to go over everybody, but I'm going to start with going with my top 4 seeds in each conference. I'm going to start with the Western Conference. I think it's a little bit tougher. I think there's so many good teams still. But number 1, I think you have to go with, I mean, it's hard. I think the Nuggets are really young, but they added even more talent on top of that, and they were one of the top seeds in their conference this year. You can't write the Warriors off, especially if they get a healthy Clay back, and they added D'Angelo Russell. It's essentially that same team that went 73-9 if they, get all those guys back healthy. But top 4 seeds, I'll go in no particular order. I think I'll go a combination of the Clippers, Lakers, Jazz, and Warriors. I think it'd be hard for the Warriors to be a top 4 seed. Depending on when Clay comes back. But if they get a healthy Clay, I think they can be in there. You can't write the Rockets off. So, I'll have to, kind of a tie between them and the Warriors. But then also there's the Nuggets. 3-way tie, maybe you could put that there. I think either 3 of those teams could be, the top 4 seeds. Because, the Rockets, if they get their, crap together, they're still a top team in that conference. They just got to work out their little drama show that they had this offseason. But on the Eastern Conference side, I think you got to go with Milwaukee. I think Giannis will get even better. Maybe not, stat-wise, but just efficiency, just becoming a better player. So you got to go with Milwaukee, I think. Even though they lost some pieces, they brought back most of their core. The 76ers, even though I hate them, I think they're a bit overrated. I don't think they have much shooting. I don't think they have much depth. I think they'll be a good regular season team. I think they'll maybe make it to the second, third round, but I don't see them winning the finals. 3rd seed, I got to go with my Celtics. This is their first year all playing together with a new point guard, new leader, but I think they got a lot of good high-character guys. They're not going to have another turmoil-filled season like they did with Kyrie, but that could be a whole nother podcast, honestly. But that's so that's 3. 4, honestly, the East is pretty wide open. I mean, if another team makes like another major move, like if the Pistons trade for Russell Westbrook in the near future, like I can see them being the 4 seed. Like I don't. Like I know there's some obvious choices. Like I don't know, but like I don't want to put the Nets there because like them without KD, I mean they're just like a worse Boston with Kyrie on that team and no Kevin Durant and their young core. I mean. I don't know. You're probably going to have to give me a second to think about that, honestly. Actually, you know what? Honestly, I think the Pacers are going to be a sneaky good team. Depending, and it's all going. A lot of it is going to hinge on whether Oladipo is healthy or not. But even if he's not, like they were still a competitive team, and they signed Malcolm Brogdon. Like that's going to be a really competitive team. I'm not sure they're going to do anything, but yeah, I don't know. And then also, I know some people are probably going to get a little pissed off because I didn't mention Utah in the Western Conference, but. Like, I mean, they're good, but, like, they're not, I don't know, like, they're not a sexy-looking lineup, but they're solid all around, but I just don't know if I'd call them a top 4 seed in the West. I mean, I haven't seen them yet. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were, I just don't know if I want to go there yet, so, I mean, that's pretty much all I got for that. Alright, and lastly, to finish off this podcast, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, but to finish off this last podcast, I think I want to highlight my sports clown of the week, or my biggest clown of the sports weekend. And I already talked about it in this video, but I think he just made himself look so bad that you just can't give it to anyone else. And that's got to be Ari Abraham. Give it up for the clown, guys. I mean, this guy, not a credible reporter. Ari Abraham, you made yourself look like a fool. I mean, at least own up to yourself being wrong and having no sources. But, dude, this is not a good look. You are my biggest clown of the sports weekend. Boardman outsmarts doorman. Kawhi Leonard made this Ari Abraham kid think he was a credible reporter by feeding information to fake sources before ultimately spurning his childhood favorite Lakers. That's all for this podcast, guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.